Jai Gurudev. Jai Masters. One of the most important decisions you'll make in your life, it's not about who you marry. It's not about your career. It's about how you're going to live your life. Marriage, career, all that stuff. They are subsets of how you've decided to live your life. There are two totally different ways to live life, and no one will tell you that. One is, I'm not okay inside. I have lackings, I have needs, I have fears, I have anxieties, I have psychological issues, jealousy, insecurity, self-consciousness, embarrassment, need for acceptance, psychological issues. And they make me not okay in here. So I'm going to live my life by trying to make things outside be the way that I need them to be so that I can feel better inside. That's how everyone lives their life. And it's just a question of what did they decide and how good are they doing at it. That's all it boils down to. But that's how you're living your life. That's how people live their lives. I'm not okay in here. In case you're arguing with me, how do you know you're not okay in here? Because you need things to be a certain way to even be partially okay. Forget okay. And if they change, you get all uptight, don't you? All right? In other words, I'm not okay in here. So I'm trying to make it be okay. Maybe once I get married, it'll be okay. Maybe once I have kids, it'll be okay. Maybe once I get divorced, it'll be okay. Maybe once I get a job that pays me enough money so I can get what I want, I'll be okay. In other words, I'm not okay. So I have to look at that. If there are things that you need in order to be okay, then you're not okay. Simple enough? So one way to live your life is to start there. It's a starting point. I'm in here. You know you're in here. I forgot. Are you in there? Hi. Anybody not in there? Raise your hand. Okay. I didn't think so. You're in there, and it's not okay in there. It's difficult. It's a struggle. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. So I'm going to make that better by getting things outside the way I think I need them so that I can be better inside or be okay inside. That is one way to live your life. That's the purpose of your life. There's another way to live your life. Completely different. That is to be okay inside, and I mean completely okay inside. Like the highest you've ever been all the time. You know, like in the moment of embrace, at the moment of intimacy, or the moment of winning the lottery, or the moment of holding your first child, that kind of peak, Maslow called them peak experiences, right? But they're not peak experiences. They're your state of being. I'm telling you that exists. You are totally okay. All right, so now what? Now you express that beauty, that love, that joy, that inspiration, that enthusiasm that you feel welling up inside of you. You express it when you're interacting with life. So it's not that you don't interact with life, but you don't interact with life for the purpose of being okay, because you're already okay. You interact with life for the purpose of expressing your okayness, for the purpose of sharing the beauty that's flowing inside of you. Those are totally different ways of life. One, you're a taker. I'm sorry. If you are not okay and you are going out into life for any reason, I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you use guns or roses. It doesn't matter. You are going out there taking from the events that are unfolding in front of you to try to be okay because you're not okay inside. That's what relationships are. I told you my favorite line in a relationship was when somebody finally walks up to the other person and says, you know, this just isn't working for me anymore. Maybe you've heard that line. Maybe you've used it. Okay? This just isn't working for me anymore. Do you understand how rich that is? So what are you telling the other person? The only reason I'm in this relationship is because I'm not okay and I thought you would make me be okay. You blew it. This is not making me be okay. It's just, it did for a while. And for a while, you did a good job. But it's not working for me anymore. And because it's not working for me, why would I be in this relationship? There's only one reason I'm in the relationship. To begin with, I'm not okay, and that's supposed to make me be okay. It's not working. Boy, it's a telltale, isn't it? If you're living the other way, you're not a taker. You're a giver. You're whole and complete within yourself. There's effulgence of joy and beauty and love flowing inside of you unconditionally. And you need to express it. You need to write music. You need to share it with somebody or somebody's, the world. I don't care. But the point is, you're living inside out instead of outside in. You have it inside and you're expressing it and giving it. So the first choice you have to make in your life, like I said, is not your career or your relationships. It is, which way do you want to live? Because in both cases, you have work to do. Listen to me. Don't sit there and say, but I don't feel that now. Well, you don't have what you need to be okay now either, right? So both cases, you got some work to do, don't you? In one case, first you have to decide what it is that you want in order to be okay, don't you? What college do you want to go to? What do you want to major in? Who do you want to marry? When do you want to get married? Do you want to have children? How many? Boy first, girl first? How far apart? Where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a city? Do you want to live in a country? Do you want to live in the woods? A lot of decisions, aren't they? They're tough, aren't they? That's because you're living the first way. If you're living the first way, you've admitted you're not okay, and you think that what's going to make you okay is the things outside of you. So now the first thing you have to do is to decide what will make me okay. What clothes do I buy or wear at a particular time? How do I act? What do I mean, my God, there's so many decisions, it's ridiculous. All right? If I'm around a group of people, do I participate and give my opinion, or is that scary? And so I just listen and act interested, because then it's more acceptable. Every single second you make decisions, don't you? How is it going to be that makes you more okay than you are now? It's scary. I don't even like to look at, especially young ones, and think you're going to live your life like that, right? It's not going to go away. Your parents are doing it. Your grandparents are doing it. Do you understand that? All right? It stays your whole life if you choose to live that way. So first you have to decide, what is it, which is tough. What is it that will make me okay? And, I forgot about saying that there were things that could happen to make you worse. Maybe you noticed that, right? So what is it that will make me okay? What is it that will make me worse? So now I've decided that pretty much, okay? Now what? It's not going to just happen. So it's hard enough to decide what I want and what I don't want. Now what do? Now you got a job. That was a job. Just deciding. Now you got to make it happen. Which one do you think is going to happen by yourself? That's what you do. You just sit down and decide, I want this, I want chocolate, and I want that, and then it'll happen. It's not going to happen just because you decided that's what you wanted to happen, is it? And it's not going to not happen just because you decided that's what you don't want to happen. We clear? So now you got work to do. So I said, what work? I don't know how to say it nicely. You need to go out and manipulate everybody and everything to get it the way you want. You need to control the world. Anybody have control issues? Does anybody not have control issues? All right? Of course you have control issues. That's such a silly thing to talk about. I've psychoanalyzed you. You have control issues. I'm not okay. We started off that way. I've decided how everybody else needs to be for me to be okay, including the weather. It better not rain tomorrow. It better not rain tomorrow. I got these plans and it can't rain tomorrow. Anybody ever done that? Okay. So you've decided how everything needs to be, every person, even the weather, everything. And now you know it's not going to happen by itself. And so now you need to go out there and try to make it happen. That's where your control issues come from. That is the definition of a control issue. You're not okay. You've decided how it needs to be for you to be okay and how it better not be for you to be worse. And now I need to control the environment around me, all of it, in order to be the way I need in order for me to be okay. That's a control issue, isn't it? How often do you not feel that? You ever be driving down the road and a car in front of you is going slower than you want? Well, no, you can't pass. You have cars on both sides. Now what? Drive yourself crazy. Have a discussion with the driver in front of you. I keep telling my mind, they don't hear you. Why are you doing that? You're doing it to yourself, right? But the net result is you will find, if you study it, just watch it. That's what studying means. If you witness it and watch it, you have serious control issues. Everything has to be exactly the way you want it. If it's not, all kinds of commotion goes on inside. And if anything even looks like it might be the way you don't want, how you feeling? Scared, anxious. So that is how you're going to live if you choose that first way to live. There's nothing we can do about it. You're not going to get it the way you want it. Why would it be the way you want? Let's be honest. I know you want it to be the way you want. I know you need it to be the way you want, but let's discuss as intelligent human beings, why would the moment in front of you be the way you want? Are you the creator of the universe? Did you create the moment in front of you? Did you make the atoms be the way they are? I always tell you 13.8 billion years, that's how long it's taken to create the moment in front of you, isn't it? From the Big Bang all the way through. All the forces of nature and everything came together and they created the things the way they are. Why is the grass green? You don't want to know. It'd take me forever to explain it to you. It has a lot to do with things that happened before, doesn't it? Like everything. The way the molecules came together after the Big Bang and all that kind of stuff and the way light behaves and how everything, oh my God, I'm tired already. All right, and that goes for why the sky is blue and that goes why her sweater is red. And every single thing has a reason, doesn't it? Nothing doesn't have a reason. Somebody says something to you. Why did you say that? You don't want to hear the answer. It has a lot to do with mommy and daddy and first sister and divorce of the parent, right? Go ask psychologists. They'll tell you the formative years have a lot to do with why that person said what they said right now, right or wrong. And it has a lot to do with what happened, what they ate for dinner last night. They had a little indigestion and they didn't sleep well. And so now, right, if you really wanted to know why somebody said what they said, you'd have to go all the way back and study the whole thing with their genetics, everything. Therefore, when you look into the moment and you come into the moment you're coming into, I'm telling you, I've looked very carefully, there is no way it's going to be the way you want. Well, how's it going to be? The way it is. Doesn't mean you can't change it. Doesn't mean the next moment might not be a little different. I'm just saying the moment that's in front of you is going to be in accordance to the forces that made it be the way it is. The moment in front of you is going to be the way the forces that happened before it caused it to be. How many of those forces were you in control of at any moment in your life? Like any one of you right now, how many forces were you in control of who showed up tonight? Or what they're wearing? Or what they're thinking? Or who didn't show up tonight? None. None. Things are the way they are because of all the things that ever happened before. And it has nothing to do with you. And so the probability that things are going to be the way you want is pretty much zero. And maybe you've noticed that, right? They are not, it's not that you did something wrong. It's not that God doesn't like you. It's not anything like that. It's physics. It's science. It's just things have reasons for being the way they are. It's not true that it rained on your birthday because God doesn't like you. If you want to find out why it rained on your birthday, one, it has nothing to do with your birthday. I guarantee you. I've studied meteorology. There was nothing in it about your birthday. Books didn't say anything about it. It rained because of the highs and lows and El Nino and right or wrong. Then why are you doing that? Why are you saying, what did I do wrong? It has nothing to do with you. Okay? When you meet somebody, let's say you meet somebody, it's love at first sight. Did you make them? Did you have all the formative years and everything? Did you make the event take place? You bumped into them at Publix and fell in love, I don't know, dropped the groceries and picked them up together. I don't know how it happens, but it happens, doesn't it, right? You didn't do any of it. If you just dare to look, you will realize the moments are unfolding in front of you and you are noticing them. You are not in charge of them. I know you want to be because of what I said, because you're not okay and you're deciding how it needs to be. So you really want to be in charge of the moments. You're not. I know you guys are so smart, but you got to get over this. You got to get over this thing that because I decided I wanted to be a certain way, it's supposed to be. No, it's not. Maybe you shouldn't be deciding how you want it to be. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is not that things are not the way you want, because they're not supposed to be the way you want. Do you know that there's 3 people sitting right there? Not any of you want the same thing. When she wants it to rain, you want it to be dry. Whatever it is, it's like everything's totally different. Every person has totally different idea of how it should be. You answer me. There's one world out there. It's made out of atoms. How can it be the way all of you want it to be when all of you want it to be different? Make sense? Some people say spirituality has nothing to do with logic. That's not true. Logic says the moments unfolding in front of you have nothing to do with you. They have to do with the forces that cause them to be the way they are. What scientist is going to argue with that? Right? It's called cause and effect. I'm going to repeat that. What is going on outside of you has nothing to do with you. The moment that is unfolding in front of you has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces that caused it to be the way it is every single time. And you don't have much to do with those forces, do you? All right? Who's driving on the road and how fast they're driving and whether you can pass at this time. None of it. Whether there's a train that gets in your way, whether it's raining when it's thing, whether a person's nice when they come up to you, whether they're not nice when they come up to you, whether they like you or not. Has nothing to do with you. How in the world can you take it personal if you understand the complexity of the human psyche? If somebody likes you or they don't like you, it has to do with them. It doesn't have to do with you. It has to do with mommy and daddy and first girlfriend and first boyfriend and right or wrong. You're such a small factor in that. Like what's really happening is you're standing in front of this person, all right? And you're you. There you are. You have a certain blouse on, a certain pants on, a certain hairdo, whatever the heck it is. Your face looks a certain way, your nose a certain size, your ears have lobes or they don't. It's just you. There you are. They're just your flavor. You're standing there. If you could see what is happening is this form of you is coming in through that other person's senses. It's coming inside of them. That's where they see you. Inside comes through your eyes, all that kind of stuff. And before it gets to their consciousness, you in there high, it hits the psyche. It hits all of their past experiences, gets stimulated by what's coming in. So you're wearing a jacket that reminds me of my brother's, but he died. And whatever it is, all right, all this stuff comes in and it hits you, doesn't it? And your whole psyche starts doing all kinds of stuff, and it makes you either like or not like. But you're not liking or not liking the person. You're liking or not liking what got stimulated inside of you by the person's presence. Watch it. You'll see it. Stand in front of a painting. All kinds of stuff's going to start happening inside of you based on past experience you had with that artist, or whether you know the artist or not. Your mind will start talking. Well, I don't even know the person. It can't be very important. It's a Renoir. It must be nice. But it was Picasso during his blue period. And I didn't like his blue period. All this stuff is just going to start coming up inside of you. And it's either going to make you feel good or make you feel bad. What is the stuff that came up inside of you, not the painting? Therefore, it's not true that you like a person or don't like a person, or like a painting or don't like a painting. A more accurate thing to say is, I really like the way I feel when I'm in your presence. When you just get to the point where you realize you're just interacting with you in this first way of living. So this control issue, we understand that. We understand that the world unfolding in front of you really has nothing to do with you. It's just doing its thing, and you're reacting to it. So it doesn't make for a very nice life. And that's why we have these discussions out here. Why, if you're going to be here on a planet spinning in the middle of nowhere for a few years, why not have fun? You have a choice. Enjoy it or don't enjoy it. And I'm telling you, if you live the first way, you will not enjoy it. There's no question about it. If you are not okay inside and you decide how it all needs to be for you to be okay and how it better not be or you'll be worse, and then you go into the moment that's unfolding in front of you and you think it's supposed to be that way, you are going to suffer. Those are Buddhist teachings. Do you know that? What are the noble truths? All of life is suffering. Well, we kind of get that one down, don't we? Rich people suffer, poor people suffer, healthy people suffer, sick people suffer. Married people suffer, divorced people suffer, single people suffer, young people suffer, old people suffer. So he said all of life is suffering. And then really, this is the Buddha. You have to have respect. He said he found the cause of suffering. Buddha said, I went out, I studied it, I meditated, I starved myself. Oh my God, I did everything I could possibly do. And he came back and said, I have found the cause of suffering. What suffering? All suffering. Whoa. That's a pretty far out thing to say, isn't it? And guess what he didn't say? Old age, sickness, poverty. He didn't say that. He said one simple thing. The cause of suffering is preference. The cause of suffering is deciding how you want it to be. Desire. Know what a desire is? Deciding how you want things to be. I take issue with the word desire because in our culture, what desire means is lust, greed. Of course that makes you suffer. It's bad. You're not lusting, greed, and that kind of stuff. No, desire means having a way you want it to be. Doesn't it? That's what a desire is. I'm in here and I have a way I want it to be. You know, the Buddha said you're going to suffer. Wow. That's what we just talked about, isn't it? If you're not okay in there and you decide how you want it to be, you're going to be worse. That's all. If you're lonely and you decide I want that person to like me, you're going to suffer. Not a healthy thing. And so Buddha said, all of life is suffering. The cause of suffering is desire or preference. They often define it as preference. It's a better word. The cause of desire is preference. And to end suffering, stop it. Stop it, literally. Now we're going to talk about that, this other way of life. What if you walked into life? I know you can't do it right now. We'll talk about that. What if you walked into life and you were excited to do so? What do you mean? You were excited that a moment is going to unfold in front of you. You feel honored that it took 13.8 billion years of everything unfolding the way it did for this moment to unfold in front of you. You've dropped down onto a planet. You used to live on Mars, and there was nothing going on in Mars. All right? But it was more exciting than where you were before. You were just in empty space, kind of just drifting through empty space for who knows how long. There was nothing going on. Nothing. Not even a roach. So you landed down at Mars. At least there was sand. And now somehow you woke up on the planet Earth. Wow. You won the lottery. There's stuff going on in front of you all the time, isn't there? Every single moment. There's colors and shapes and words and people. And it's exciting, right? What if you lived like that? What if that's where you got your head? That it's an honor to experience the experience I'm experiencing. I don't care which one it is. I'm just glad there's one there. How would your life be? Wow. You wake up in the morning. I told you how a spiritual high being wakes up in the morning. They giggle. I'm back. I wonder what will happen today. You're going to find out that this state is everything Buddha taught, everything Christ taught, everything Muhammad taught, everything the Kabbalah teaches, everything every single tradition taught, right? It is the truth, which is what? If you let go of yourself, what do you mean myself? What you want and what you don't want, all this junk you made up in your head. You did just make it up, didn't you? All right, what you want and what you don't want. You just made up a whole world in there. If you let that go, life is unbelievable. It's so exciting. It's so stimulating. It's so challenging and it's unbelievable. There is always something going on in front of you. When was the last time you said thank you? Would you rather have nothing going on in front of you? Did you make what's going on in front of you happen? Did you create the people and the places and the things and the atoms and all the different things? No. Well, why would you not say thank you if they're giving you this stuff? I've gotten much further with it. I'm not a physicist, but I read enough, to at least get a surface understanding that what they have found when they look down there at what's in front of you is this quantum field of energy. Remember, I said it was all energy? There's a quantum field of energy. And I try to understand it, but it's very complicated. Somehow these waves become particles and et cetera, and these subatomic particles pop out of this ocean of energy. Quarks, leptons, bosons, you've heard about them. They pop out. It's phenomenally complicated when you get down to quantum mechanics and stuff, but you don't have to understand that. They just do it, okay? And that's what you're looking at. They are creating the moment in front of you. If they are the cause of all atoms to be, if that's where the atoms are coming from the subatomic particles that are popping out and being put together by the fundamental forces, then being put together as molecules and being put together, then that's what this is. So literally, what's in front of you is a gift of the quantum field. I dare you to think about that, because it's going to blow your mind. All right? Don't go to school and have them teach you this and then go home and complain about how hard it is. Go to school and realize somebody has just given you the greatest gift that could ever exist. They've told you, all right, ask next time you go to your scientists, when you're studying physics, ask any of them, excuse me, professor, am I the one who's making the quarks and leptons and bosons pop out of the quantum field? Because I thought I was. And he's going to say, no, we have no idea why they're popping out the way they do. It's uncertainty principles. There's no way to figure out how they're going to pop out. They just pop out. And if you look at them, they change, so we can't even look at them, all right? It's very, very interesting stuff, this quantum stuff, all right? But the point is, no, you're not. You don't get to make the quarks and leptons and bosons pop out. But if every single thing in front of you, every single moment is the manifestation of those popping out and coming together and manifesting up. Are you hearing me? Because that's what they're teaching you, isn't it? Is everything in front of you made of atoms? It's made of atoms. There's not a single thing that's out there that's not made of atoms. The whole universe, it's all made of atoms. And the atoms are made of the subatomic forces. You know, electron, neutron, protons, and they're made of quarks, leptons, and bosons. Therefore, what's in front of you is the gift that the quantum field is emanating right now, period. That's why he has a beard. That's why your nose is the way it is. Every single thing is just popping out of that field, creating what's in front of you every single moment. What does that tell you? You have a choice. Drive yourself crazy by deciding, I'm just going to make up how I want it to be. I have no control over it in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be what it is because it's popping out of the quantum field, all right? I always say to you, you know, the Christians say, this is the day the Lord hath made. The scientists say, this is what has popped out of the quantum field. What's the difference? The only thing that matters is you didn't do it. Either case, did you? You didn't do it. Now you're not, you know now, I got your head where I want it. It's kind of fun to think about, isn't it? Right? I forced you to look at it. Now you didn't do it, and what you're doing about it is coming in and making up how you want it to be. Just, I don't want that to happen. I want this to happen. I don't want it to rain. I want to do it. No, it's the quantum field manifesting every single thing. And you're sitting there making up how you want it to be. You hear me? And you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. Because it is not going to be the way you want. Who has noticed that it's not going to be the way they want? See, you're really smart people. You caught on. But you didn't know what to do about it. Because no one will talk to you straight. Do you understand that? It's like you're in here. Life is out here. You did not make it. It is a gift. If you want to see it as a gift of 13.8 billion years of since the Great Bang putting itself together and creating all this neat stuff for you. It used to be just thick hydrogen gases after the Big Bang. They got put together to make this. Or look at it as the quantum field manifesting what's in front. I love that one because there's no argument about it, all right? Every single scientist in the world would say, yes, that's where it's coming from. What's coming from? This. Your wife, your husband, your children, the car, the Empire State Building. Every single thing. It's not that at one point it came out of the quantum field. It is coming out of the quantum field right now. Every single atom is being created every moment over again as it pops out. And you stop there and realize, if that's true, what am I doing? What's wrong with me? Why am I making up how I want? It's not going to be the way I want. All it's going to do is get me uptight. I'm going to suffer. I'm going to have tension and anxiety. I'll be OCD and bipolar, and all this will happen to me. Of course it will. It's perfectly normal. Go over there and decide you want to move Mount Everest when you're pinky. Go on. See how you feel later. You know, some serious psychological problems. I'm a failure. What's wrong with me? Well, just decide how you want the moment in front of you to be. It's exactly the same. Probably easier to move Mount Everest, right? How can the moment in front of you be under your control? It's all the forces that ever were coming together to make it be what it is. So a wise person lives the second life. They sit there and say, the truth of the matter is, I'm not in control of this universe. Doesn't mean I'm not going to interact with it. We'll discuss that in a minute. But I'm not in control of it. The moment unfolding in front of me has history behind it. Me, I just made up what I want. I'm going to stop doing that. What's the punchline? I'm going to stop doing that. Stop doing what? Making up stupid stuff in my head and then expecting it to be. And then what am I going to do instead? I'm going to wake up in the morning and say, I'm back. I wonder what will happen. That's not scary. I wonder what will happen, because I don't have a preconceived notion of what has to happen for me to be okay. I just think it's exciting that something's going to happen. There are going to be colors and shapes and people, and they're going to talk to me. Oh my God, all kinds of stuff's going to go on. Isn't that exciting? Yes, it's very exciting. Then you get up all excited like Christmas morning. Every single morning is Christmas morning to a spiritual person. All you're going to do is get gifts all day. All kinds of things. Or, not just Christmas morning, it's the morning of the Super Bowl and you're on one of the teams. Whoa. Here it is. Something's going to unfold in front of you. It's going to challenge you. right? It's going to be a big interaction constantly. It's a sport. It's a beautiful thing. What? Life. It's beautiful if you let it be. It's ugly if you decide how it's supposed to be. It's that simple. And I told you why. Because it's not going to be the way you want. So if you decide that it can only, what a normal human being says, I can be okay if it's the way I want. As long as things that I don't want to happen don't happen, as long as what I want to happen happens, I'll be okay. Well, then you won't be okay. So you come to the point of realizing, I need to stop this. That's the work. So one way, in the first way I talked about, you need to work to try to manipulate and control everything around you to be the way you want and make sure it's not the way you want. Well, you'll never succeed, so I hope you're having fun. All right? The other way, the work you have to do, is to stop making up an alternate reality inside your mind and then expecting it to be that way. Two different works. If you work at the first one, you'll work forever because there's always different moments in front of you. Nothing stays. There's no super glue. It just keeps changing. Even if you get something close to the way you want, it keeps changing, doesn't it? Or at least you're afraid it will. Right? The more you need something, the more insecure you are about it. The other way, if you do the work and you learn to stop being silly and making up all this stuff that things have to be a certain way for you to be okay, and you just start saying, I am okay because I get to be alive. I'm okay because I get to interact with life. I'm okay because I get to see the moment that's happening next in front of me. It took 13.8 billion years to get here, and I get to see it. It is what the quantum field is emanating, and I get to see it. Wow, am I special? You know how special you are? What you are looking at right now, no one else has ever seen, and no one ever will. Wow. Why is that not special? And you understand you're seeing something different than she is because you're sitting at a different angle, right? And then you'll walk out of here and you'll see something very different than she is. So the sequence of events that you're seeing are completely unique to you, aren't they? And they will never happen again. No one will ever see them. No one ever has seen them. And you're telling me you want to feel special. You are special. Really special. The whole universe is putting on a show just for you. Why are you not saying thank you? Why are you not appreciating it, embracing it, participating in it, and just saying, wow, I am so grateful to be seeing and experiencing the moment that's happening to me, instead of saying, I will only be grateful if it happens the way I want. Well, then you're not going to have a nice life. The truth of the matter, what you should be being taught, is your starting position is, I am not in control of the universe. I am not the creator of the universe. I am the experiencer of the part of the universe that's in front of me. Yeah, aren't I? How's that for a truth? I am not the creator. I am the experiencer of the part of the universe that's in front of me. There's a whole lot of universe that's not in front of me, so I better be appreciating the part that is in front of me. And I'm telling you, if you get your head there, life is simple. Not only is life simple, but you're going to start to be okay. You're going to realize, this is a tough one for people, you are okay. Your natural state is way beyond okay. You're the most beautiful thing that ever walked the face of the earth. You're filled with love, filled with joy, filled with Shakti, filled with Chi, filled with spirit, filled with energy. You're just a beautiful being. Well, why don't I feel that all the time? Because you told yourself that you only get to feel it if that person likes you and behaves this way and either does open the door for you or doesn't open the door for you. I'm a liberated woman. Whatever you decided is the way it needs to be. And then when it's that way, you get all excited, don't you? In other words, you have closed yourself down with your mind. Behind your mind is spirit. Behind your mind is power, is beauty, is love. But the mind will not let you experience it because your mind has conditions. Your mind says, I'll be happy if this happens. I'll be happy if that. I'll be very unhappy if that happens. Well, what happens when they happen? Self-predicting prophecy, right? If what you say, if you decided you like him and then he starts treating you nicely, you get all excited. If you decide you don't like him, starts treating you nicely, you call the police. You're doing this. You're doing this by making this model of how things need to be for you to be okay. You're guaranteeing that you won't be okay. It is actually having the opposite effect of what you think. So the opposite is to sit there and say, I am not in charge of the universe. I am honored that it is unfolding in front of me. And if there's something inside of me that can't handle reality, then there's something wrong with me. Not there's something wrong with reality. Wow, it's like the whole thing's turned around. Reality has the right to be. It doesn't mean it's right from a moral point of view, but it is the result of all the forces that ever were causing it to be the way it is. isn't it? Even terrible things that happen, people analyze them and explain why they happen. Right? Go study Hitler. They're not going to sit there, we don't know why he did what he did. All right? They're going to sit there and explain to you the forces that existed that caused even the most terrible things in the whole world to take place. Things are the way they are because of everything that happened before them. You need to respect that. You honor it. Doesn't mean you have to leave it that way. Now, let's come down to how do you live this life? Because it sounds like a lot of fun. All right? Talk about no tension, no anxiety, no problems. No problems. Can you live a life of no problems? I'm telling you, live a life of no problems. Why? Who decides what's a problem? You do. That pillow over there, it's got a couple of wrinkles in it. Is that okay with you? It's okay with her because she never saw the pillow before, right? It was her pillow and it didn't used to be wrinkled, but somebody took it and sat on it. Now it's wrinkled, so it's not okay. It's a problem to her. You couldn't care less, and you like it. It reminds you of your mother's pillow. Things are not problems. Things are things. You make them be problems because you decide you don't like the way they are. How about if I define for you the only problem? I don't even know you. I know exactly every problem you ever had. The problem was it wasn't what I wanted, or the problem was it was what I didn't want. No other problems. You don't have problems when things are the way you want, do you? You don't have problems when things aren't the way you don't want, do you? Okay. You have problems because things aren't the way I want, and you have problems because things are the way I don't want. You need to contemplate this. Those are the only problems you will ever have. And so once you catch on to this, you say, what am I doing? I'm closing myself and then saying I want to be open and putting conditions on it. I love the light coming into a room. I just love when light comes in a room. So what I did is I closed the blinds and I put a secret code on them. And unless I know the code, they can't open. But I know there's light out there, and that's very encouraging. What are you doing? Someday I'll get them open. I got them open a little bit, right? Wow, look, there's some light. And they close back down because I didn't do the code right. What are you doing? Don't put up the blinds. Who said you have to have blinds? Who said your mind has to be closed and then it'll open because you get what it wants? A wise person looks at that mind and says, wow, goodbye. I don't need you. You need your intellectual mind, 2 + 2, quantum physics. Have fun with your intellectual mind, but not the personal mind. What's the personal mind? The mind that says, I figured out how everything needs to be for me to be okay. That mind is ruining your life. You are better off not having that one. And so you start to work with yourself. And we can talk about that at the end a little bit, about what can I do to lighten the load of this crazy mind that's judging everything and deciding what it wants and what it doesn't want instead of enjoying and appreciating the experience that are unfolding in front of me. All right? As you open, because you're not buying into what your mind is saying, like let's say you have to give a lecture and your mind's saying, oh, you're going to fail. You're going to embarrass yourself. I don't want to do that. Anybody's mind do that? And so you look at that and you realize, what am I doing? I'm in here, I'm going to give a lecture, right? And then it's going to be over. And it's like one event in the universe. How many other things are going on in the universe at the same time you're giving your lecture? What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm going to enjoy the experience of the moment I'm having. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do my best. Of course I'll do my best. Why not? You're doing a sport. How fun is a sport if you don't do your best? That's ridiculous, isn't it? Right? You want to do your best, so you do your best, okay? And then you have fun. You have fun up there, and you have fun talking. And if you make a mistake, you laugh. It's fun. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're enjoying the experience of your life. And I'm telling you, if you're enjoying the experience of your life, you will do much better. The person who goes up there and is excited to give this talk, right? And just is studying, they're ready, and they did their best, and they can't wait to have this expression to put that out there, are going to do better than the person who bought into this neurosis of, oh my God, what if I make a mistake and I'll feel so stupid, right or wrong? That's true of every single thing in your life. So what it's about is rising above this lower part of you that has decided that it knows how things need to be for you to be okay. And you sit there and say, things don't need to be any particular way for me to be okay. However they are, I'm fine. I'm going to have fun with it. That's how you start to live this other kind of life. A wise person sits there and says, I've only had so many experiences in my life. Really not many. At the same moment that I'm having this experience. There are 800 billion zillion experiences I'm not having. All over, everywhere. So I've only experienced the parts that are in front of me. There's not very much in front of me, is there? There's stuff going on everywhere else. So I'm really not very experienced. I'm picking up very, very little data. Well, at least don't miss the part you're experiencing by wishing you were experiencing something else, by not liking it. And you get to the point where you realize, and I've discussed it with you before, and it's true, that every single experience is worth having. No experience is better than others. Every single experience is worth having. Every experience you have makes you a greater person. Let's say you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off. That's never happened before. You're a 16-year-old, you just started to drive, somebody cuts you off. And now you're ramming your brakes, you skid around, but you handled it. You are a better driver now than you were 5 minutes ago because you've experienced what it's like to be in that situation. Every single experience makes you a greater person. You got into a relationship, your first relationship, your 12-year-old kid got into a relationship, and it didn't work out. You are a better person because you went through that experience, especially since your heart hurt. Your heart never hurt like that before. Now you've learned what it feels like to have a hurt heart. Go through it, it changes, and you go through it, and you see it, and you experience it. You're a greater person, aren't you? Because you had the experience. Every single experience that you have makes you a greater person because you're experienced in that area. And when you're more experienced in that area, you're better at it. I told you, I challenge you guys. You're going to have your roof repaired. You get 3 bids. One is from the professional roofing company. The other is from a handyman who can do stuff. And the other person has never, ever done it before. They've never been up on a roof before. They don't know anything about the shingles. They've been laying over, but they were really cheap. Who are you taking? There's not one of you that would take that person. He has no experience. Experience is rich. Experience makes you a greater being, doesn't it? There's no experience that makes you worse except the one you refuse to have. If it happened to you and you said, no, I don't want to have that experience. I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to have gotten divorced. I didn't even want to get married because I was afraid of getting divorced. My parents got divorced. I swore I would never get divorced. I can't even believe I got divorced. This is not okay. You just screwed up your whole life. What did the divorce? No, you. Because you refused to have the experience that was happening to you. Otherwise, you're a greater being because you had the experience. Period. It doesn't mean you have to get divorced if you're married because you want to be a greater being, right? You're also a greater being because you didn't get divorced. It doesn't matter. Every single experience you have makes you a greater being. So if every experience I have makes me a greater being, I don't know how to choose. Don't worry, it'll be chosen for you. You do not have to choose the experiences you're having. They're the ones you're having. And so they come in and I see the world like a river that comes in and pours into the ocean of my being. When the water pours into the ocean, it makes the ocean greater. It keeps it full. It's a good thing. The world comes in and feeds you. If you resist it with your mind, you suffer. You cause big trouble. Because now the fact that you got divorced, you'll never get married again. You'll never meet somebody again. You'll be damaged goods. There is no reason for that. A wise person allows the world to come in and feed them. And they're at peace with it. It's a state of equanimity. It's a state of absolute peace. The world comes in and it leaves you inside richer because it came in. If you resist it with your mind, it becomes a psychological problem. Now you're sensitive about it and so on. So you catch on that the way to go to the second life, which is that you're always having an exciting, I might say a good time. If someone you love dies, it's very difficult. The heart hurts. You feel lost. What's wrong with that? That's the difference. It's not that you don't feel that. What's wrong with feeling that? It's just another experience to have. It will come and it will go. And you will be a greater person. A greater person because you loved, a greater person because you went through a death like that, a greater person because you went through this heartache and the emptiness that takes place. It's natural. You're greater for that. If you're willing to let the experience come in and feed you, then you're a greater person on the other side of it. Everything, any experience. People say it all the time. I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So-and-so died, or I had a near-death experience, or, different things happen, right? And, oh, my God, I feel so much more alive than before. Every experience can be beautiful if you let it be. So a wise person living the second way of life gets up in the morning, excited to see what's going to happen. But they don't just passively see what happens. They participate in the moment that's unfolding in front of them. Every moment that unfolds in front of you is there for a reason. You're there. You're the only one that's going to ever interact with that moment. It's so special, it's ridiculous. It's literally custom picked for you. You ended up there, it ended up there, and what you do is you do your best to raise it. That's where I've gotten with this. People always say, what should I do with my life? Live it to the highest level you're capable of. Don't worry about the marriage and the career and this and that. Just say that every moment, that's my career, that every moment that unfolds in front of me, I'm going to let it touch me to the deepest part of my being so that I learn everything I can from it. And if there's anything it needs from me, if there's anything it's asking, I'm going to raise it to the best of my ability, period. And I told you the highest measure of your life is that every moment that passed in front of you is better off because it did. That's a high being. That's the highest service of life. And so you get to the point where you say, life is unfolding in front of me. Here it is. What are you going to do with it? Because what a normal person does with it is it comes in and hits their stuff, doesn't it? It hits their stuff and it makes them think of something and not like something. And then they're interacting with it that way to try, what can I do to make myself feel better? Not what can I do to serve the moment? What can I do to make the moment serve me? I'm serious. That's what we're doing. Every moment we get in, how do I need it to be? You come to this other side and you literally get clear enough inside to where the moment's unfolding in front of you, you're conscious, you're clear, you're present with that moment, and you're seeing whether it's asking anything of you. And if it is asking anything, it could be just a tiny thing. It could just be a smile, or it could be something. Is it asking anything of you? If it is, you give yourself to it completely without reserve. You put your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole being. How can you not? It took 13.8 billion years to get there, guys. Right? How can you not give your whole being to it and enjoy it specific just for you? It's like art. It's like an artist gives himself to their art. This is your painting. And so you give yourself to it. Then what happens? The next moment. See, there is no goal. It's not goal orientation. The next moment's there. You put your whole being into that. Then what? Then the next moment's there. If you will live life like that, it will be the highest life. Not only will you be the highest, because you're not busy with like and dislike, you're serving, you're living a life of selfless service, but it's truly selfless because you don't need anything. You're giving yourself to it, but you're going to see that life knows what it's doing. Now that may be very challenging to you, but I want to ask you this. 13.8 billion years ago, there was this Big Bang, and what came out of the Big Bang were this thick hydrogen clouds. Einstein wasn't around. Okay, Albert Schweitzer wasn't around. Nobody was around. All of these clouds were there. Nobody was around. And I'm telling you, they made this. They made your body. They made the DNA that knows how to make a body, doesn't it? The DNA inside every one of your cells knows how to make a body. Every single, that's strands of DNA, you know, all the chromosomes and all the genes, and they know how you, a little cell, a fertilized cell, you put it inside of a womb, it grows into a baby. It's happening by itself. It knows how to do it. Where did that cell come from? Where did the DNA come from? I don't care who discovered it. That doesn't interest me. I want to know who made it. Where did it come from? Because it came from those gases. Those gases put themselves together over time to form that DNA, didn't they? It's like, now I want to ask you, does life know what it's doing? Every single thing you see got made that way. Where the trees come from, where the grass come from, where the earth come from. Where did everything come from? Right? Wow. Life knows what it's doing. It didn't stop knowing what it's doing because you showed up. It made you. If you will serve life, if you put your being into the moment that's unfolding in front of you, you're a student, you study. Why? Because that's what I'm doing. It's in front of me. You do it. You go to class, you study, you participate. You just do your best. You just do your best. What if my best is not good enough? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as your best not being good enough. If you do your best, then the results of your best is what will come back to you. You can't ask for more than that. It's the best I could do. You do that, and there's no goal orientation. There's no sense of failure or success. There's a sense of service. If you're an artist and you love painting, there's no success or failure. It's the joy of doing it. The joy of life is life. is interacting with life. Every single thing you're doing is the joy of playing an instrument, the joy of painting by yourself, all right? You just, because you put your being into it, it's joyful and it's beautiful. And then the next moment happens, the next moment, and I'm telling you, life knows what it's doing. And you're going to see, you'll look back, and you'll feel you didn't do anything. You just served the moment. Where do you see where those moments end up? Great things happen to beings who live like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful life. It is exactly, any of you ever studied the Eastern teachings of the Tao, Lao Tzu? We just described what he meant by the Tao. One who's living in the way. What way? The way. Right in between. Neither like or dislike, neither good nor bad, just serving the moment that's unfolding in front of you. Now, why can't you live that life? Because I got a monkey mind that keeps deciding what it wants, and when it doesn't want it, gives me a real hard time about it. Well, that's why you meditate. Well, that's why you do practices. There are practices you can do to quiet down the mind. There are practices you can do to free yourself from that constant bothersome mind that's saying, I can't be okay until such and such happens. And instead, you start realizing, I just won't pay attention. The highest way to transcend the mind is not listen to it. It's not to shut it up. It's not to fight with it. You just don't listen to it. It doesn't know what it's talking about. But over time, you will find that you're capable of devoting yourself, you in there, to what's unfolding in front of you, instead of devoting yourself to the mind that's making up how it wants things to be. That shift is what Christ meant when he said you must die to be reborn. When you're done with these teachings, you're going to see they're Christ teachings too. They're the Kabbalah, they're Christ teachings, there's Buddhist, they're all the same. It's all the same. Those who got beyond themselves. What does that mean? You must die to be reborn. All right? It means that personal self that you think you are, who made up all this junk of what you want and don't want, has to fall away so that you can be who you are, you in there. All right? And the biggest clue I'll ever give you is when your mind's giving you trouble, I'm going to stop. You got to find your own way, right? When your mind's giving you trouble, let's say your heart hurts or your mind's bothering you, I want you to pay attention to who you are that notices. If you come to me and say, my mind's driving me crazy, so my girlfriend left me, my heart hurts, and I'm going to ask you, how do you know? You can get real mad at me. But I'm going to say, how do you know? How do I know what? How do you know your heart hurts? How do you know your mind's driving you crazy? And finally you're going to say, because I'm in here and I see it. You who's in there that sees it are not it. You're the one who sees it. You're the consciousness, the awareness of being, the soul, the essence, the self, the Atman. Call it whatever you want. That's who you are. You're a very high being, but you're watching something that's not so high. You're watching something that's got some serious problems, aren't you? Well, learn how to not pay so much attention to it. Learn how to relax. Just relax. And you're going to find yourself in a very high place. Then from that place, serve the moments that are unfolding in front of you. So that becomes your work, and that's your spiritual work. If you do that, everything will happen. Jai Gurudev.